Today we're in beautiful East Tennessee and we're talking about the incredibly important topic of workplace safety, and that starts right now. Hello everyone, Don Stock here with another Challenge Course Pro Tip powered by the Adventure Guild and brought to you in partnership with Adventure Park Insider, where it's our goal to help you build a better, safer, and more professional Challenge Course program. If this is your first time checking out one of our videos, first of all, welcome, and I hope you find the information both informative and helpful. Now please note that links to any equipment, resources, organizations, or anything like that mentioned in this video will be found in the description. Today I want to talk about an important and timely topic as we head into this busy summer season, and that is the issue of workplace safety. Whether at a summer camp challenge course or an open-to-the-public zip tour or aerial adventure park, workplace safety belongs at the top of all of our priority lists. Chances are, if you've been around the challenge course, zipline, or aerial adventure park world for any amount of time at all, you've heard stories of workplace injuries or fatalities involving guides and other staff. An in-depth web search will yield plenty of examples of aerial adventure staff who are pulled untethered from platforms, suffered mid-line collisions, fell from height, or impacted course structures in some way. Either because proper safety systems and checks were not established by the employer, a culture existed within the organization that overlooked breaches of safety procedures, or staff were cavalier and reckless. Sometimes it's a combination of all of those things. But when it comes to the topic of workplace safety, it's critical to recognize that the concept is far larger and more involved than just our work at height. In actuality, there are entire bodies of regulation that outline what employers are required to provide for employees in order to safeguard their health and safety within the work environment. Now, in most cases, these regulations are applicable to any business that has employees. But historically, when it comes to the idea of regulatory compliance, the challenge course, zipline, and aerial adventure world has sometimes operated under the assumption that what we do is so different from other industries, so out of the ordinary, that we really weren't subject to pesky little things like OSHA code or contractor credentialing. But the truth is, we are. Whether we are a course construction company, a course operator, or some other service provider, we, like everyone else, is required to follow the law. The big challenge is that many companies literally don't know what's required, let alone how to implement a plan to become compliant. So in this video series, that's what we're going to be talking about. Here in this first video segment, we'll cover the necessary mindset surrounding workplace safety, and secondly, what goes into creating a culture of safety within your organization. In the second full-length video, we'll look at the different OSHA codes that U.S. companies need to be familiar with. And I'll introduce some resources where you can get help as you start developing your own workplace safety protocols. In the third full-length video, we'll wrap the series up by talking about the requirement for ongoing training for your team, as well as the documentation requirements for workplace safety compliance. And as a bonus, in between those full-length videos, there will be some shorter videos going into a little bit more detail about specific topics. And be sure to stick around to the end of this video because I'm going to tell you how to get a copy of our resource packet that we put together to accompany this entire series. It'll be a big help for those trying to get their feet under them and how to approach this process. And because this is a series, I highly recommend that you subscribe to the channel and click the notification bell so that you stay on top of every segment as it comes out. With that said, there are a couple things I would like us to keep in mind as we jump into the series. First, in most cases, time constraints will only allow us to introduce these important topics and suggest some questions to ask and to point you to additional resources that you can use in your own process. It will be up to you to avail yourself of those resources and to do the work. Of course, you can always reach out to us for additional help and guidance if you hit a wall and are feeling overwhelmed or just don't know how to move forward. Contact information is in the description. Secondly, it's important to note that many of the underlying concepts we'll cover will be relevant and transferable across the world, and many codes and requirements will ultimately be similar. But it would be impossible for me to cover a world full of specific regulations in this short video series. So if you're located outside the U.S., you'll need to research your jurisdiction's specific requirements to be sure that you're in compliance with your part of the world. Most all governments have workplace safety information in detail available right on their websites. So let's jump in. Now, when it comes to workplace safety, everything starts with the proper mindset. And a proper mindset both underpins and gives support to systems and procedures that work together to create what's referred to as a culture of safety within an organization. And simply stated, a culture of safety is an ethos within an organization that places a high value on safety awareness and the systems that protect workers. In a culture of safety, this awareness and these values are shared by everyone within the organization and the workplace. And rightly managed, it creates an expectation and an assumption that this is just kind of how we do things, and that deviation from that culture just isn't acceptable. Now, chances are, if you have worked in very many places at all, you probably experienced an environment that operated with no concept of the culture of safety. I've been around construction trades at one level or another throughout my entire life. And there have been many times over the years that I have literally had to leave a job site or to go somewhere else while somebody else's crew did something super sketchy. I mean, I'd be watching and be like, yeah, I'm pretty sure that guy's about to get his face burned off. And everyone else like, don't worry, that's just Rodney. I've had the same type of experience, unfortunately, in the aerial adventure industry. I vividly recall being called to a site visit for a zip tour repair, and upon arriving at the site, I had to fight back having an aneurysm as I witnessed these crazy, dangerous things that the staff was doing. I was like, stop, everybody stop what you're doing until I am somewhere else. Now, interestingly enough, in the aerial adventure industry, the lack of a culture of safety can sometimes spring from the romantic view of risk that's often embedded within adventure sports like climbing, mountain biking, or whitewater paddling. In that context, and I love a lot of that stuff, the risk of injury or worse is kind of central to what makes the pursuit exciting. And since aerial adventure and other adventure activities can sometimes share space and even personnel within an organization, like at a whitewater rafting place who has a zip tour, a cavalier spirit regarding safety can develop and get subtly absorbed into the culture of a company. But easily the most common contributor to a lack of a robust safety protocol and culture of safety within an organization is an employer's lack of knowledge and consideration for their responsibility as a company and the lack of awareness regarding the consequences for noncompliance. Put simply, they don't know what they don't know, and they don't have a clear view of the stakes. So the question is, how do we develop a culture of safety? And secondly, what components do we need to establish that culture of safety within our organizations? As you can imagine, there are literally books written on the subject, and I've listed a couple of them in the resource packet that I mentioned earlier. But for the purposes of this series, it's sufficient to say that developing any culture of safety requires these following things. Number one is leadership buy-in. Now, it's been said that everything rises and falls on leadership, and this is certainly true when it comes to developing a culture of safety within your organization. Company owners and managers must lead the way in valuing and demonstrating a culture of safety if they are to be successful. As tempting as it is, this is not the place to go with the do as I say, not as I do approach just because you're the boss. Your team will never take up the cause or take your efforts seriously if they don't see leadership leading the way. Now, the second thing we have to have is employee buy-in. Now, it's critical to engage staff at all levels to help develop specific, understandable, and easily communicated values and expectations. The third thing that we need are attitudes and systems that value employees and their well-being. When communicating the rationale for this culture of safety, as well as the workplace safety protocols, it's important to make employee welfare the focus rather than the company's requirement for compliance. As important as compliance is, it's easy to forget that the workplace safety laws don't exist for their own sake. They exist to facilitate workplace safety and minimize injuries or worse. So if you're working through this process, make sure employees know that their welfare and their safety matter, and that your care for them is the primary reason that you're working through this process. The fourth thing we need to do is celebrate safety success loudly and often. What gets celebrated gets remembered and valued, so actively seek ways to celebrate a great safety culture and a great safety record. Set a target goal for the number of accident or injury-free days or some other safety-related goal, and then plan a celebration for reaching that goal, like a party or giving a group bonus or anything that points people to the value that you place on everyone being safe and taking care of each other. Make valuing safety and protocol compliance part of the employee evaluation and compensation consideration. If you have a staff person who is a champion for watching things and making sure that we're being compliant and we're celebrating safety, celebrate them and make sure that people understand the value that that brings to the company. You can create opportunities for the employees to actually celebrate each other for making safety a priority. Things like a brag board or a box where staff can write kudos to each other when they see them going the extra mile to ensure the safety of the team. Now, chances are some of you have probably employed other really cool things and creative things within your organization to foster a culture of safety. And I would encourage you to drop those in the comments below because we're all learning from each other. Ultimately, the goal in developing a culture of safety is to create something that everyone wants to be a part of because they understand the value both to them, to the company, and to your patrons. And that's really what a culture of safety is all about. And once it's established, it provides the foundation and the context and the milieu for all of your workplace safety systems that are required by regulatory bodies. As I mentioned, that is the subject of our very next full-length video. We'll be introducing the relevant OSHA standards that employers need to be aware of, and we'll be pointing you to resources and people who can help you as you develop your workplace safety program. And speaking of help, at the top of the video, I mentioned a resource packet that we've developed as a supplement to these videos. All you need to do to get your copy is to follow the URL on the screen right now and in the description, and that will take you to a page where you can sign up to become a Challenge Course Pro Tips Insider. And by being an insider, you'll gain access to exclusive content and resources first, and that resource packet will also be sent right to your inbox. Now, if you found value in this information, we would appreciate it a great deal if you'd hit that like button and subscribe to our channel, and also let others in the aerial adventure industry know about this valuable resource that is Challenge Course Pro Tips. We are working hard to reach 1,000 subscribers, which will qualify our channel to participate in YouTube's partner program, which gives us a much expanded opportunity to serve you, the members of the aerial adventure community. So if you could subscribe and tell others about it, we'd love it. As always, if you have questions about workplace safety or any other Challenge Course related topics, please leave them in the comments below and we will get back to you. Now, to connect with us for professional Challenge Course services, please visit us at challengecoursepros.com and we will help you in any way that we can. I hope you have a fantastic day. I'm Don and I'll see you next time.